everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Evie. Today it is snowing in Texas, like legitimately snowing. I'll put in a picture or a video, but because of that, I thought it would be a great day. I'm looking out the window at all the snow because I still can't believe it. But today I thought it would be a good idea to just make some tea, cozy up, and talk about my reading goals or reading resolutions, I guess, for the new year for 2021. And I have a couple, but it's not something that I am going to stress out about. So it's more something that I do actually really look forward to every year, is making these goals, because it's something really fun and something that is not very stressful compared to, I think, a lot of resolutions that get made at the beginning of the year are all about, or maybe not all about, but I think a lot of times resolutions can focus on what we did wrong or what our weaknesses are and how we want to fix that. And so for reading resolutions, I think it's a really fun option. So tea break. Anyways, as you might have known from my last video, if you saw that, I read a total of 40 books. And so this year, let's just start off with the number of books I want to read this year. Going into 2021, I'm hoping to read a total of 60 books. I think that's a good goal for me because I have been reading more lately. So I think that that's really possible. That comes out to about 60 books a month, or rather exactly 60 books a month. But because I know I'll be having moments or phases where I read a lot more than others, then it'll average out to 5 books a month. But really, I probably am hopefully going to be reading a lot to catch up with that. It is the 10th when I'm filming this, and I've already read, I think I've read five books so far. So I've read 5 books so far, and it's just the 10th. So I'm off to a good start. I'm currently in the middle of reading the first Game of Thrones books, and that is intense. Lots of tea breaks. I turned off the heater because I didn't want it to make so much noise because it's right by. We have window heaters in this because it's an old house that was renovated that we're renting. So we have window heaters and coolers, and so it's right by where I'm filming. So I don't want it to be on for you guys, but it's a little chilly. I think 60 books is a good goal for me because I don't want to get too overwhelmed. I do know I have times where I get into slumps, so if I'm reading a lot now, then it'll cover those times. So just looking out and not doing anything that'll really stress me out, I think is a good option for me. But I did want to still do more than I have been reading, because I feel like 5 books a month is a good amount due to the fact that I have other goals that I want to accomplish actually in each month. So moving on, that's a good segue into my list of goals written down right here. That's what I keep looking at. But moving on to my next goal, it's something that I have been thinking about a lot lately, and what I'm calling it is the Continental Challenge, where I'm going to read a book from a different author, or rather a book from an author from a different continent for each month. And hopefully that'll come out to, if I keep on top of it, that would come out to two authors from a continent in the year. So that'll really give me a good array of people who I've not read from, and also give me a chance to read from multiple different countries as well. So the way I'm breaking it up is I have 6 continents, so I'm not including Antarctica, obviously, but 6 continents. I'm including with, not Alaska, I'm including with Australia, New Zealand, and Oceania. So that comes out to 6 continents total. I'm starting from the west and moving eastward as if it's on like a map. So that would be North America, South America. I'm also going north to south too. So it would be Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and Oceania. So that's my plan. I'm already decided for this month, for January, what I'm going to read. What I did was I looked up all of the countries in North America, or what's included in North America, and that included actually Greenland, which I didn't know, which I probably should have known. But I included Greenland. That includes all the way down to, going down to Canada, the US where I live, Mexico and all of Central America. I included in North America, which I think it's included in there anyways, but just to clarify, so that's what I'm doing. And what I did is I looked up a list of countries, all the countries that fall under North America, and I did a number, and then I did a random number generator, and that actually came out to be the Dominican Republic for the first month, which is January. So I've been looking into Dominican Republican I'm just gonna say Dominican authors. It came out to the Dominican Republic. So with Dominican authors, I am looking at authors who were born there, who maybe moved afterwards, but looking at to try to find perspectives from people who were born in those countries. So for each month, what I'm doing is I'm specifically dedicating one of my 5 books each month to one of these authors, but I'm still going to be reading books that I am interested in, which will probably come from different authors as well. But it's just going the extra step to make sure that I am getting different perspectives. So that's the biggest thing I'm doing differently this year, and the thing I'm looking forward to the most is the different continental authors. That way I can hear from different perspectives, hear different stories than I usually read. I tend to gravitate towards certain types of books, and I think that'll really push my comfort zone, but also I'll hopefully find authors that I hadn't heard of before that I'll really like as well. So I'm very excited about that. Next, I am hoping to read some more of my classics. I have multiple classics on my shelf that I either haven't read at all or haven't finished. I also have different books from school that I probably maybe didn't always finish as well. So those would include things like, I know I have Moby Dick on my shelf. I have Wuthering Heights, which I am like ashamed that I haven't read that yet, because I bought it because I've been wanting to read it and I just haven't. So I'm very excited to read that. I have a lot of classics on my shelf. And including with classics are some of the books that aren't necessarily classics, but they're books that we had to read in school that I never really finished or never really that I didn't finish. So I didn't always finish the ones that we were assigned, and I've taken classes on like Russia or some niche interests, and I never finished a couple of those books. So those ones I'll be considering in the classics as well that I'll be trying to read. I don't know if I'm gonna devote 1 book a month to that, just because I feel like if I push myself to do classics, it might put me into a slump. And I do want to push myself to read more, but maybe not once a month. So we'll see. I haven't decided a final number for how many I want to read. Definitely at least 1 this year, but mostly it is something I'm still figuring out. But maybe once every other month would be a good one, because then I would read 6 classics this year. It's still up in the air. All right, more tea. So good. I love chai tea. My next goal this year, which is similar kind of to my classics goal, is that I want to read at least 1 book of poetry and or a book in verse. And this is something I've not really been interested in or have thought about since probably like maybe high school. I also recently picked up at the end of the year this book, World of Wonders, which was the Barnes & Noble book of the year by Amy Nezhukumatatil. And this book is also part of the reason I started thinking about the continental thing, because she talks about a lot of her experiences it says her mother was Filipina and her father is Indian. So what having those cultures were like when she was growing up. When I was at Barnes & Noble, the associate at the store told me that she's usually, I think, writes poetry. So that got me thinking about it again and remembering how much I really did enjoy reading poetry. So I'm very excited to read at least 1 book of poetry or 1 book in verse, which I know there are some that have come out recently that have been very popular. So I'm looking forward to kind of dipping my toe into that. So I'm giving myself a pretty easy goal on that front of just 1 book this upcoming year. But it's not something I really gravitate towards, and I haven't read really any poetry since, like I said, since high school. I don't think I read any in college. I think it was mostly essays. I don't think we read any books for college. Oh no, I didn't, because I had received AP credit. One of those was probably English, so I didn't have to take any literary English classes in college. So I haven't read any poetry since high school, is my point. I'm giving myself a little bit more leniency, letting myself kind of ease back in. Who knows, maybe if I read one book, I don't know, find that I really love it and that'll become my new thing. You never know. But for the time being, I'm just giving myself the goal of just one book. So hopefully 2022 will come around and I will have accomplished that goal. And I actually am really looking forward to that as well. All right, last but not least, that comes down to my final goal, which is a little bit of the kind of shame on me goal, which is I want to read some of my long running TBR. So my to be read list. So what that means to me is I have a list of books that I want to read, but specifically I have a lot of books that I have purchased or have been gifted to me that have been on my TBR, my physical TBR, that I have just not gotten to, and I should make a video of that because I have so many. I really want to read some of those this year, and kind of, I don't know, it just seems wasteful to have books and then not read them and then continue buying books, which I know is, you know, reader problems 101. But I do have books that I bought that I thought were really interesting, or that I've asked for, that I really wanted to read, and that's why I got them, and then I got sidetracked. So focusing in this year on tackling some of those books as well. I feel like the majority of the books you can see here are, well, this specifically is a part of my TBR. A lot of these books are new. I have some new books in the other room as well on my smaller shelf that I need to read as well. I have books lying around. It's probably it's probably a lot more than I even think it is. So I should make a video showing all of the books that I have that I want to read. And I do have some books that I might need to unhaul. It's not that I want to unhaul them, it's just that they're not my priority. So in total, going back to my goals for this year, I want to read 60 books. I want to do my Continental Challenge, and I want to read classics, more classics. I want to read at least one book of poetry or book in verse, and then lastly, tackle some of my long-running TBR. Please let me know down below in the comments what some of your reading goals are for 2021. If you have any books that have been on your long-running TBR that you're hoping to get to, any genres that you're looking forward into diving more into, anything like that, I'd love to hear it. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon.